Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to our regular meeting on this beautiful sunny day, of course, that we've been having over the past couple of weeks. A lot of people really enjoy the nice hot weather and others not so fussy. So I think there's probably a combination of both. But anyway, we're here at the regular meeting, so I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Could I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor Buckle, seconded by Councillor King.
There's an amendment that needs to be for the agenda.
Okay.
Under permit listing, it says 16 permits, it should say 13 permits.
13 permits, okay. Duly noted.
Nice catch.
Okay, with that, could all in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried. Minutes of the meeting from June 27th. Are there any errors or omissions? We're all good. Business arising. All good. Okay, we'll move on to the Mayor's update. Just a couple of quick items here I'd like to bring to the public's attention and Council's attention, of course. Is the difference between the water conservation plan and a water ban. And over the last several weeks, I did have several residents who asked me is there a water ban in place? And I said, no, the last document that went out, and on our social media, town social media, it says that we're under a conservation plan. So if you would just forward me a second, I'd like to explain it for the public what both of them actually means. So the conservation plan is implemented every summer to promote environmental stewardship in our community. It's a means of encouraging homeowners to conserve and use water wisely, but has no mandatory restrictions. A water ban, however, is implemented when the level in our storage tank becomes seriously depleted to the point where continuous sustainability becomes jeopardized. This usually happens when we encounter a major water line leak, excessive water usage, experience a significant problem with one or more community wells, and or a combination of these happening all at once. During a water ban, restrictions are put in place and is mandatory. The more we keep our tank levels in normal operating condition, the better positioned we are at dealing with any possible leaks or other unforeseen problems that could arise at any time. We thank residents for your cooperation and compliance with the ongoing summer conservation plan, especially during these unprecedented hot and dry weather conditions. Thankfully, our tank and community wells have remained at acceptable levels throughout this dry spell, and we will continue without any challenges for the remainder of the summer months. So, the water conservation plan is voluntary, while the water ban is mandatory. So I hope this information explains the difference between the two. And the other one is just to let our residents know that Council will be having, and staff, will be meeting with the Minister of Transportation and Works and our MHA on July 31st to discuss issues regarding Route 60 and others as well. Okay, so that is the Mayor's points. So now we will move on to correspondence. One piece here from the Holyrood Public Library Board. To Holyrood Council, the members of the Holyrood Library Board would like to express their sincere thanks to the Town of Holyrood for your generous support of our library. Whether it is in the form of maintenance help or financial aid, your support permits us to maintain the library as a community center, meeting diverse needs through book collections, programs, and events. Our patron count continues to grow and is a testament not only to the work of our librarian and team, but a reflection of your generous assistance, which allows us to enhance our resources and sustain the great programming and services we are known for in this area. We continue to rely on our partnerships as we strive to expand and better serve our growing community and the region. Thank you. And that's from Sheila Duggan, Chairperson of the Holyrood Library Board. So that's a nice complimentary letter. Any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. With that, we will move on to Planning and Development. We have our Deputy Mayor Woodford and Councillor Windsor. You're up.
Good evening, everyone. The Planning and Development Committee met on July the 19th via Zoom with Councillor Steve Windsor, Executive Assistant Krista Turnbull, our Acting CAO Marjorie Gibbons, and myself in attendance. There were 3 applications that were reviewed during our meeting. We have one that we recommended for motion this evening. We also discussed or reviewed, I guess, our guidelines for our site prep permits. And we will be working with Infrastructure and Public Works over the next little while on how we can implement a more standardized and efficient site prep permit. With regards to our town plan, we are still waiting for the draft document from our town planner, Reg Garland. So when we have that, we'll bring that forward as well. We'll have a meeting at the committee level, bring it to council, and then take it through the necessary routes that we have scheduled until it's implemented. And I think that's it for the committee. Co-chair, anything that you want to add, Steve?
Nothing further, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, it was only a few applications that we have. So I'll just go ahead with the motions right now.
Okay.
First, of course, is our permits. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 13 permits were issued from June the 16th to July 19th, 2023, and include permits for fence, accessory building, general repairs, new build permit number 2, accessory building extension, home-based business, water and septic, and driveway. So a very diverse
List of permits.
list of permits for sure. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Our second motion for this evening is for roadside vending for a food truck that would be located on Northside Road. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the above roadside vending application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations, roadside vending regulations, as well as the following. And there's an extensive list of conditions that we've put with this application. So the location of the truck should be on the south side of the middle concrete block, which is approximately 160 feet from the floating dock. This will provide ample parking space for boat owners who have boats tied up there and a few vehicles that may stop for the food truck. The applicant must leave space for the boat owners to park. The location also provides ample sight lines for the motoring public. We wanted to be sure that there was enough space in order for them to operate safely. Consideration of signage, pylons, or some other means to alert the motoring public that pedestrians may be along the roadside. All tables, garbage containers shall be kept to the south of the truck to provide ample space for the boat owners to park. The town will not be supplying tables or garbage cans. The town will not be collecting the garbage and will not be responsible for any refuse around the site area. The town will not be grading the area or maintaining it while the truck is there. The site will be inspected before and after to ensure it is in the condition that it was prior to the truck's setup. The applicant will be responsible for any remediation work that may need to be carried out after. The applicant must also provide a vehicle inspection slip and permits and/or approvals from the appropriate provincial regulation departments. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? I just want to add for clarification that as in the same situation we had a few years ago with a vendor over on the main beach, and we did identify in that decision that should we identify or recognize any safety issues that may happen, or if there's any complaints from the public about certain aspects of the operation or whatever, but most of all is the safety issue, then we reserve the right, I'm sure, to revisit that permit.
Right,
Am I
and
correct?
yeah, and we don't know as well how long this truck will operate. Permits for roadside vending are given for a year, and then they have to be renewed. So in the interest of public safety and kids going back to school and buses, we wanted to be sure that if they're going to be there in September, when kids go back to school and that area gets a lot more traffic or volume of traffic, that it is in a safe distance from the road, and the motoring public and everyone that would avail of the food truck would be kept safe. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion, those against, motion is carried.
And that's it for planning and development, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we'll move on to recreation and community events. So we have Councillor Buckle and Councillor King.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points. We didn't meet between the last public council meeting because of the Squid Fest and everything that was on the go in the organization for the Squid Fest, organising stuff. But the Squid Fest went over well. We're going to have a debriefing now on all the events, the pros and cons, and see where we can make some changes on some things, and we'll reach out to council for some feedback too. But the Squid Fest was well attended. Every event was well attended. There was a lot of good feedback there. The beach party was very busy. There was a good turnout, and all them events are good if you got good weather. And we did have good weather. So overall everything went well, but we're going to look at every individual event and see the pros and the cons, and have a little debriefing to see where we can make changes and for next year. And hopefully next year will even be better than this year. And that's it for Squid Fest and recreation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And if I could just quickly add, this was another fantastic and successful Squid Fest. We did say weeks and weeks ago, fingers and toes crossed, so I think it worked. The weather was nice, but not too hot like we're experiencing now. I was out and about. I got to some, but I couldn't get to others. But a lot of the family events, the kids events and whatnot, and they were well attended, enjoyed by all. I wasn't at the beach party, but I understand there was a tremendous crowd there. So we have to keep in mind that these events takes months and months and months of planning and coordination and putting all this together. So our recreation director, Steve Martin, did another bang-up job as he does every year. But he can't do this on his own. It requires volunteers, and we know that we have volunteers in our community that are totally dedicated to Squid Fest every year and Crystal Carnival. They've been with us now for years and years and years, and they just truly love what they do. And of course, all of our business sponsors, and of course the residents and visitors and tourists who came out to support these events. It's nice to see. So overall, great job by everybody involved. If there's anybody I missed, I apologize, but you certainly know who you are. And anyway, like Deputy or Councillor Buckle said, the Recreation Committee will do a debrief on that and present a report in the coming weeks to Council. So, all in all, great Squid Fest. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I think not only should we congratulate Steve, but all the staff here and all
the
the
staff.
outside workers. Those are the people who made this Squid Fest possible. Great job by all.
My apologies, I was remiss in that. Public Works, of course, because they have been keeping ahead of all the events, setting up, taking stuff down, and moving on to the next event. It was constant. They were flat out the whole time. So, yeah, kudos to them and staff behind the scenes, who nobody knows what they do, but they've been assisting Steve in many, many ways. So, hats off to the staff. Councillor Crawley.
I was going to wait until my CSA, but I figure now is a good time to do it. Thank you to our sponsors as well, who are a huge part of putting off Squid Fest. So we had some major sponsors and partners in Squid Fest. So we want to say thank you to those as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments before we move on? If not, we will now move to Infrastructure and Public Works. We have Councillor Sadie King and Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor. Only question on Squidfest. What are we doing this weekend, everybody? All right? Really good job. I was giving everyone a hard time at the beginning of the meeting about having a short meeting, and seeing how you did so good for time. I mean, I only got a few pages here now to go through. Right? No, I kid. 5 or 6 items update for you on infrastructure and public works. Myself and my co-chair, Councillor Sadie King, Mayor Gooby, acting CAO, and director met on July 20th and discussed quite a number of items. And I'm glad the Mayor's update included water, because water is always number one on our discussion at infrastructure and public works. The wood cutting policy, you recall we had some discussion on that. It was discussed again at committee, and we are going to amend the policy to include only town-owned property, and all private property will fall under planning and development as part of site preparation, which Deputy Mayor touched on as part of the planning development. And what we also discussed there was the importance of consistency and standardization. And what we don't want to have happen, different applicants come forward and get different answers, sometimes very unintentionally, right? That has happened in the past, but the past is the past, and we're learning and moving forward, and we want everyone to have the same answer when they come forward with an application. Sometimes they might not like the answer, but they understand that we have an established process. And then if committee and council and staff take it away and agree, the process can be revised and changed in future. But we do want to establish a very clear, consistent, and standard approach to site preparation.
Councillor Windsor, if I could just interject
No.
before you move on. Just to clarify as well in that policy, we also discussed the fact that if somebody owns property, probably 1 or 2 acres, and wants to cut some firewood on their property just for their own use for the winter, that's
I'm not
certainly
going to get into that. The wood cutting policy is about town-owned property.
okay, yeah.
And private property will be handled through planning and development.
Planning and development.
That's all I want to
Okay.
make clear here tonight.
Yep.
The pool policy was discussed and reviewed by staff and council, and is ready for adoption. That'll be a motion here this evening. We had 2 RFQs we discussed. One was ditching. 4 areas of town were included in that. The bids all came back over budget. We'd established $10,000 in our budget for this year, and all over budget. So what we agreed to do is make a recommendation for the lowest bid on a cost per meter basis, and we would do up to what the budget was for this year, and communicate to people that we would continue those ditching projects into the next fiscal year, because it is important we continue to do it, but we wouldn't want someone to look at the project and say, why is it stopping at this door and not continuing? Because that's still a problem. So we'll be clearly communicating that. Paving RFQ, there's 12 areas of town that we've identified. There's probably a lot more areas that are in need of paving, but there's 12 areas of town that we've identified for the RFQ as a higher priority, and gas tax will be used for most of that work. The department's currently prioritizing those areas. Another important one I want to talk about is roadside garbage. August 30th is the next bulk garbage collection. There's not a bulk garbage collection before that date, and there are some areas of town, in particular on North Arm, where individuals have placed a large amount of garbage by the roadside, and it's causing a lot of problems. We are working with that resident. We will be issuing a registered letter to have the garbage removed in a timely fashion. Otherwise, the town will remove and send them the bill. Okay? So we are actioning that, because I know there's a lot of other residents who have complained about it. We talked about sewer system upgrades, and we're working with the province and municipal infrastructure on a review of the bids for the engineering phase of that work. We also talked about the water tank update. We do want to do ground prep work by spring of 2024. The bids that came in were inclusive of mechanical outfitting and civil works, and very high dollar value, $4 million, which is a lot more than was anticipated. So only one bidder, right? So what we want to do is separate the multidiscipline work out, separate the mechanical work, separate the civil work. You'll get more bids that way, and ideally get a more cost-effective solution. So we're working on that. And again, spring 24, we want to do the groundwork. That's our vision target anyway. Mars Bridge, I'm sure residents have seen that. The work has started, long overdue. Really appreciative of the province for taking action to get this project going, and working with the contractor and the province and the staff have done a great job to make sure that emergency services continue, and there is an update on that. The previous communication around traffic flow had been one lane only during the work days, and on the weekend be fully closed except for emergency vehicles. But that's changed now, and I don't know if the post is out there yet, no, but it will be. That it will be open through the weekend as well to regular civilian traffic. That's correct.
Oh.
So that's great news. And the work is continuing and allowing free flow of civilian traffic, which is great. And last but not least, just a few miscellaneous items to acknowledge work being done by staff. The pride painting is completed at the boardwalk parking area. Very nice to see that. Paving completed at the multi-court. We are planning for this recreation, planned future recreation center, that area. So the paving for the multi-court is completed, and we're planning for tree removal for the trail system in that area as well. And sods are laid at North Arm Park, and it looks lovely. So lots going on in the department, and that's it for me. I don't know if I missed anything, Councillor Sadie King. Okay, so I got a motion. We'll do the motion and keep things moving. The swimming pools motion, be resolved, the Town of Holyrood approve the swimming pool policy HP-003. This policy will ensure swimming pool governance and regulations are followed in the long-term planning for the Town of Holyrood. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Windsor. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
Just if anyone, just to jog your memories, it touches on, when pools are to be filled, the creation of a registry of pools in the town, and also safety related fencing to 6'6", which is required by most insurance providers, and just good practice to keep everyone safe. So that's the long and short of the policy as a reminder. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried. Okay, thank you very much for that update. A lot of great work, and Public Works is a busy department, as we all know. Okay, now we'll move on to Business Development and Marketing. Deputy Mayor.
Our committee met on July the 17th. The mayor was not able to attend, so it was just myself and our acting CAO, Marjorie Gibbons. Before our meeting began, we had a presentation from Ogaga Johnson, and she is the Director of Workforce Development with Econext. And what they are doing is they're doing a project with the Marine Institute and the launch, and they're focusing on having an attainable workforce for businesses that will be coming to Holyrood, or potentially coming to Holyrood, because of the Marine Institute and the launch, so with the ocean sector, but as well the spin-offs that could happen from that as well. So she gave a very brief presentation. We did have some technical issues with the Zoom meeting that we had, so it was in and out sometimes. But basically, they are planning to have 10 companies come into the Marine Institute in September, October, and November. And hopefully, I think that they estimated about 200 people that will visit those different sessions that they're going to put off with different companies. So as part of what they're doing, they want to partner with the town. They have funding that they have for this workforce project. And they want to partner with the Town of Holyrood to develop an RFP for a consultant to identify the gaps in our skilled workforce so that we can see what they are, we can fill those gaps to make sure when businesses do come to Holyrood that there is a workforce available in the area to entice people, to let people know what's happening. So what we asked for her to do would be to come in and give a presentation to all of council. So you have a better understanding of what it entails and what our part is going to be. There's not going to be any monetary part from the Town of Holyrood. This is totally, they have their own funding for this, and they just want our partnership in order to develop the RFP and then award the RFP on their behalf. I guess working with Ms. Johnson on that. We also had a request from the Marine Institute for a meeting because they have some initiatives that are coming up that they want our feedback on. So I don't know if that's gone out to all of council yet, but I think Marjorie will soon be sending that out. It's going to happen, I think, around August 8th, but we're not quite sure. Is that August 8th?
August the 8th is the date
That they put forward. So if we could have our calendars cleared for that date, if possible, for attendance, that would be great. With regards to our Oceans Holyrood Initiative, our OHI, Phase 3, our consultant will have that report completed hopefully by the end of July. And, you know, we're anxious in seeing what that entails because our acting CAO has met with ACOA and our provincial partners, and they are excited about OHI Phase 3, and they're fully supportive of that development. We did have one business application, and that was for the food truck that we just approved. Funding was applied for gas tax and JCP, but we haven't heard anything back with regards to that yet. And we do have some other files that are ongoing that we haven't finalized yet, but we'll certainly bring everyone up to date when we've completed our final review of those. And that's it for not planning and development, business development and marketing. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much for that update, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions, comments? Okay, if not, we will move on to public safety, and we have Councillor King and Councillor Bucko.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Taking into consideration the heat and the time and everything else, I've reduced my comments down from 10 pages down to 9.5.
You're so kind.
So don't say I never offered any. This month of July, we did not have a public safety meeting due to other commitments as well. But I do have a couple of points, and then from there I will turn it over to Councillor Buckle and to see if he has anything to add as well. We did have a meeting. Make sure I keep my A. We did have a meeting with the fire commissioner on the 12th of July down at the fire hall, and it was in regards to reinforcing our application for a rescue vehicle. The fire chief gave an excellent presentation. He explained to the fire commissioner the importance of having a rescue vehicle here for Holyrood, but not just for Holyrood, but all the other people, whether it be the Salmoner line, the Witless Bay line, the Trans-Canada Highway, Deer Park, all these different areas that our fire department covers. Anyway, so hopefully the fire commissioner will go back to the minister, explain to the minister the reasoning behind why we're asking for a new rescue vehicle, and hopefully that will bear fruit, and in the future hopefully we'll get a word that Holyrood has been approved for a new rescue vehicle. So anyway, we are doing everything we possibly can to instill in the government that this vehicle is a requirement. It's not a luxury. It's not something nice to have out there sitting in front of the fire hall, nice and shiny. That vehicle will be used, and it will be used to an extent by the Holyrood Fire Department. So more to follow on that one, and if anything comes up, I'm sure we'll let everybody know. The other point I want to bring up is with regards to complaints. Social media is a fantastic venue or platform to be able to get the message out, whether you lost your cat, or you lost your dog, or it's snoring, or whatever. But if you have a complaint with regards to the town, whether it be garbage, traffic, or anything else that concerns council and town staff, then you should send those complaints or letters or messages to the town, to the council, right? It's great to put it on social media, but if you want it actioned, council is the place to do it. And I'll give you just one example. We had some issues down in Marina Shores at the four-way stop, and people are not stopping, right? And I mean, it's hard to believe, because I was down there the other night. There's a lot of small kids down there playing, and it's summertime, and everybody's outside and stuff like that. So for the sake of about 5 seconds, because that's all it takes you to slow down, stop, look both ways, and go through the intersection. So, but people are not doing that. So anyway, the complaint came in through a letter to council, and that letter was actioned through our acting CAO, our director of public works, and the public works staff. The speed bumps that were there were moved closer down to the intersection, and hopefully that will solve the problem, because if it don't, you're probably going to go up to a Holyrood Tire and Auto to get your vehicle fixed. Okay, so that's one example of when you put in a complaint to the town, it's actioned, right? It's great to let people know on social media, but anyway, that's good. The fire ban is lifted, but people still should use caution. The ground is, everything is still like it was 31 degrees today. So that bit of moisture that we got yesterday, that's gone. Okay, so people should still use caution when it comes to fires outside and everything else. And I'll just give you an example. In Nova Scotia, when they had the fires, there was 150 houses that were destroyed by the fire. And they did some after-action reports, I guess you would want to call it that. And some of the biggest culprits that caused these fires to accelerate, and I'm sure probably there's people in this room that have it as well, was mulch. Okay, mulch, once it's dried out, it just explodes. And vegetation around your home. So in Nova Scotia right now, the fire marshal's office and the government are recommended that if you got all these things around your home, it would be a good idea for you to get rid of it, right? And get rid of the mulch from around your house and stuff like that. Okay. The other one, I had a friend of mine that just moved to BC, and he's gone into an area. With regards to new policies, he could not get his house insured or his boat or his trailer because they have and this is all the insurance companies in British Columbia right now. They will not insure you if you're a new policy owner if you're within 50 kilometers of an active forest fire. Right? That's their new policy. So these are the kinds of things that could come here to haunt us, because it just takes a second for everything to catch on fire and go. So that's why we really need to be careful, and we need to take precautions with regards to fires and everything. And this time I will turn it over to Councillor Buckle if he has anything. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor King. Councillor Buckle.
No, just one point I'd like to add, you know what I mean, I've noticed, you know what I mean, the call volume in Holyrood for the fire department is up, and we all know that, and it's been up for the last numerous years, and with not only fire, but medical response, accidents, but you know what I mean, a lot of times when I drive by and I see, you know what I mean, in the night time a call coming out, and you know what I mean, to see the quick response of our volunteer fire department after hours and stuff. I mean, I like just throw it out there. You know what I mean, every time you see it, and they've been working very good here under our chief, and they split up into a couple teams so that there is people available on weekends. Because last year we ran into some issues where we're short staff, so they do come up with like 2-team type system for the summer. So every weekend there's so many members available to take a call. I mean, that's great service to have. You know what I mean, and with the ambulance provider here, you know what I mean, one ambulance in Conception Bay Centre, as we all know, from Holyrood to Colliers, and down the San Line service in the area. A lot of times our fire departments gets called for medical response, and we do have a lot of trained firefighters that are paramedics and have the course, and you know what I mean, they're equipped with AED and keeping someone alive until the ambulance can get there. We don't transport, but I mean, in those situations, and timing of trying to keep someone alive is very important for someone to be there to keep them alive until we can get them transported to the hospital. So, I mean, kudos to our fire department and the work that they do. Thank you.
Absolutely, fully agree. Okay, any questions or comments on public safety? If not, we will move on to communications. Councillor Crowley.
Good evening, everyone. We unfortunately did not have a chance to meet formally for communications, but we've definitely met informally over the course of the entire month. Just a few things that we have been working on. We are working on public information, getting information out to public in a timely, reliant fashion. So with, for example, Mars Bridge, we have public transportation, Can-Am are putting, the company are putting out notices, we're putting on our social media, we're putting it out as much as we can to inform public and let everyone know. The light up signs are up there on Salmon Line on the other side, so we're really hoping that this is an efficient way to get out the information. Operational review will be touched on in a minute, but again, we are working on a plan to produce that, what our findings are and our action items to the public. We have a streamlined process now for our permits being worked on. When you come in to get a permit, we're streamlining the process, so hopefully communication will remain at a constant and keep the flow going. Just to let you know that our CAO is also our point of contact for internal communication and some external as well. If you are reaching out to council about an issue or problem, as for Councillor King said, we do action that, we copy everyone and send it to our CAO as well, because we want to make sure that we are giving the opinion of council. If you're calling us individually, that's a little bit different because you're asking us our own individual opinions at that time. However, we want to show if we're giving an opinion of council, it will go through all of council. So if people are taking a little bit longer to respond to a certain question or a complaint or a point, this is why we specifically put out a communication policy to ensure that everyone's on the same page and we're not all giving different directions and giving different pieces of information out there. We want to make sure that you're getting the most reliable information in the most timely fashion. For example, same thing, Squidfest, we were working on communications through our Squidfest media channels, through our sponsors. Stingray Communications was putting out information for us as well as one of our major partners. And so we're doing the best we can. We are fielding information coming in about Squidfest. So like I said, we're going to have a debrief. We know that there's always things to be improved upon, things that went well. The communication is coming in. We are listening. Just give us a bit of time to gather it all in and respond appropriately and make those changes. So I think that's it, unless Deputy Mayor would like to add anything for communications, or Councillor King?
No, all good, Laura.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. Any questions or comments before we move on? If not, we will move on to the operational review. Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor. The update for the operational review, a very thorough and important piece of work. Last week we received a formal presentation from the consultant to council, what he heard and what is recommended, and the benchmarking to other similar communities with similar service deployment. It would be inappropriate and premature for me to update here on the details. As Councillor Crowley pointed out, a communication plan will be devised to externally communicate that work properly, clearly, and formally. So next steps, next week we'll be meeting with the acting CAO, and we will go over those recommendations. There's a lot of meat on the bone, and we need to ensure that we do things correctly, and it's going to take time. I think that, you know, the next 2 years of this mandate will occupy a lot of that work, right? And we know that you're up to the task to support us on that. So that's the update. So we look forward to meeting with you next week, and watch for the Communications Committee to follow that as we release details to the public. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Windsor. Does anybody else on the committee would like to add to that? You're good, Councillor Bucko? And I'm okay with that. That was well articulated and explained. Okay, now we'll move on to corporate services and administration. Councillor Crowd, you're going to pay the bills?
Okay, good evening again. Yes, but just before, okay, the last time I stood up here, I said infrastructure and public works was my favorite committee because they said there was under budget and they had all these things. You're removed. And I like business marketing development now because I don't spend any money on them. I am very fickle.
We got the gold star.
Yeah, I'm very fickle like that. I'm just saying. Yeah. And recreation, you're like wobbling there. You're wobbling. But we do want to, again, I was saying about the sponsors for Squid Fest. We had some large sponsors, Upper Limit, Buckles Construction, Stingray Communications, Labatt, Station Diner, as well as a lot of other smaller local companies helped us out with Squid Fest. And we do need to acknowledge that these events are the only ones that bring in revenue for our town. So that is very important to acknowledge that. We hope that everyone enjoyed it for sure. We met on July 20th, and in attendance was myself, Marie Searle, Director of Finance, and Marjorie Gibbons, Acting CAO. We still have some details to work out on our Procurement Act. We're still gathering information and obtaining, the good, the bad, and the ugly from our Procurement Act, what's working, what's not, and we will have a presentation shortly on that. We worked through our on-call firefighter proposal, and Chief Woodford is actually working on that, and he did have a number of people sign up and agree to being on call for those times. And one of those very important times is this coming weekend, where we anticipated that there would be a bridge cut off, and we wanted to make sure that the town was protected on all sides, so we had firefighters on call in the building, ready to go, wheels down, if anything should happen. We had some lovely correspondence. We have some more correspondence to go out. We really want to stress that partnerships in the community are very important. And I just talked about the sponsors, but we're also talking about partnerships like the Legion, the Royal Canadian Legion, the Star of the Sea. We want to reach out to them as well. The library just sent us a lovely letter to say that they enjoy our partnership and it works well. We want to make sure that everyone feels that love. So we'll be looking at those partnerships coming up. RFPs are going out shortly for some of our in-house businesses that we interact with as per the procurement policy. So we do have to get those ready, but unfortunately they're not ready right now. They'll be going out very shortly, so I'd say the next public meeting will have some RFPs to send out. I think that's it. Budget 2024, yes, we're at it already. But we asked everyone to review their accounts. Things are going really well from a standpoint, and we're hoping to get that rolling, that process rolling a little bit earlier. I do just want to make note that our Council of the Whole met with the Municipal Assessment Agency and a representative from them, Mr. Hearn. And we dove into the questions that we were receiving, and of course, the write-up in the shoreline that was questioning how municipal assessments worked in our town. So it is a convoluted, it's not a magic number process, it is a very detailed process in which they look at comparability, the houses, structures around, but what it boils down to, it's based on market value. So everything. So some went up, some assessments went down, some stayed the same in Holyrood, and that is based on market analysis. So all your questions, if you want to understand the process, they are more than happy to explain the process. You can visit the website, the Municipal Assessment Agency website. You can find it on the sheet that they sent out with your assessment. They actually upped the deadline for, they pushed the deadline for assessment, reassessment, I should say. So I think if I remember correctly, it was July 31st was the deadline to have your property appeal, sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Appeal your assessment. I knew there was something wrong with what I was saying. So July 31st, you can appeal your assessment, but it is a great idea to go on the website. There are videos there. There's you can actually take a course on how it's done. and a lot of information. So it's unfortunately not our place to deal with those, to field a lot of those questions just because we don't make the assessment. So we strongly suggest the public go to the website, ask the questions, make the phone calls, and understand what this process is. So yeah, it was a really great meeting we had with Mr. Hearn, and we all learned a lot. So if that's it, I'm going to move on to our accounts.
Okay,
And now I'm going to pay the bills, Mr. Mayor.
okay, thank you.
I did promise it would happen. Okay, be it resolved, those accounts tabled in the amount of $263,382.43. That would be checks numbered 44798 to 44947 and number D3364 to D3442 be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crawley. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
That is a lot, and there's a lot of Squid Fest payments and invoices there, and of course there's invoices still to come in and go
Money
out
in
and
and out,
everything. Money
yeah,
in and out, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried.
And our bank book balance is at $89,233.
Okay,
Yep, thank you so much.
all right, thank you, Councillor Crawley. So now we'll move on to new business, and we'll do the go-around, starting with Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Nothing for me this evening.
Very good. Councillor King? Councillor Crawley?
No, I have to say I love Squid Fest. It was excellent. I attended a lot of events, and it was excellent to see that the wine and chocolate this year incorporated a lot of businesses in CBS and CBC, and so that was lovely to have it like contained within the area and to show that support. And also, I am super proud that the town can now show that we're allies based with our pride painting down at our beachfront parking. So thank you to Public Works and everyone else who was involved.
I sort of got the feeling that you like the wine and chocolate, because today we were down to the Rudy race and presenting the medals. Well, how much talking did you do about the wine and chocolate night? What? I assume you'll be back next year. Councillor, thank you. Councillor Buckle.
No, just a couple of quick points there. I mean, it's nice to see, we did have the minister out to the fire department to talk about the rescue vehicle. Fire commissioner, I should say, to talk about, on our behalf for the fire, or the emergency vehicle. And, we do have the minister coming out for about Route 60 for a meeting that we did. That was a couple of motions of council that we done in the motion of council to ask for these meetings. So it's nice to see that the government responded to us and are coming out for the meetings. Mars Bridge down there, even with the top took off it down there now, it was a little bump on either end, but it's a lot better than it was.
Oh, yeah.
Better. Slows people down.
And, it was pretty quick work there to take that top off there today and clean it up. So, that's good. It's long overdue. We waited a long while. We heard from the residents a lot. But, it was out of our control because it's provincial road, but we did keep up on it. We did keep it to the minister. We said we want it done. It's no different than Route 60. There's a lot of stuff on Route 60. There's pavement, there's ditches, there's culverts, there's drainage. We want to look at the whole process there. But it's nice that we got that meeting set for the minister to come out and sit down and talk about that. So we hope that we can get that on the radar and get some work done with that next for the residents in Truro Town. It is a rough road. And I don't know what we'd ever do down there now without a roundabout. If you had to come down off Liam Hickey Drive and stop at a stop sign to get out there now, I don't know what you ever do. Because right now, if you know how to use the roundabout, which most people, it was new to Holyrood and stuff, but the roundabout's working well down there, and the cars are coming down, and the flow of traffic around that, if you sat down there and watched the flow of traffic going around that roundabout every day of the week, but you get in the weekends down there, Saturdays and Sundays, the amount of traffic goes around there is unbelievable. And anyone that's out there looking to start a business, I think Holyrood's the way to move, because the traffic flow is here and the traffic flow is up. There's no doubt about it. Thank you very much.
Well said, sir. Well agreed. Councillor Windsor.
Nothing here, sir. Thank
You're good. Okay, perfect. Councillor King. All right. So that is the agenda. Date of the next meeting is August 22nd at 6 p.m. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Don't put all up your hands to one time. Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Buckle. Those in favor? Those against?